This is going to be a good show tonight, guys. We put it together. We're starting at 10 o'clock, 2 hours late. Thank you for driving all the way down here from the NMRA crew in St. Louis this week. We've got a lot of great folks in town, and we're going to have some fun tonight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so with that, I want Speed to give us a countdown.
5, 3, 1.
The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you.
These are anyway.
And by GL Robotics. With over 61 colors of 3D printing filaments in stock, your gateway to new technology. Check out their website at glroboticsusa.com. Additional support is provided by Spring Creek Model Trains, your destination for model trains. Stop in and say, wow. Check out their website at springcreekmodeltrains.com. And by Intermountain Railway Company, where the detail makes the difference. Check out their website at intermountain-railway.com. Further support is provided by Microengineering, keeping you on track with quality products for 55 years. Check out their website at www.microengineering.com. Order from your local dealer or order direct by calling 1-800-462-6975. Additional support is provided by Yelsma Graphics, America's leading distributor of quality railroad art and embroidered clothing since 1985. Check out their website at yelsma.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast.
This is the What's Neat This Week show number 204 for August 6th, 2022. I'm your host, Ken Patterson, the host of the What's Neat show at Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine. And tonight we got a good show lined up for you. In that, we've got a lot of special guests here for the NMRA show 2022 here in St. Louis, which is starting this week. And it's going to run all the way through the week until we have the train show, the actual train show, on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, where we're going to have a lot of public attendees and introduce this hobby to a lot of new youth into the hobby. And that's what it's all about. So with me tonight, I've got Jeff Shultz, all the way over here on the end, sitting where Mike Buddy always sits. Jeff, hello, as you know, is the technical director for Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine, plus he edits my What's Neat segment in the inside of the magazine to correlate with the video that we produce every month. Jeff, you and I have spent a lot of time on the phone. I'm always on time, and finally I can put a face to the voice. High five and welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thank you.
On the other side of me, I got Gordy Robinson, all the way from Scotland. Actually, he lives on a small island just north of the UK with 400 people, and it's got to be amazing. Gordy, welcome to the show.
Hey Ken, it's nice to be back again.
It's awesome to have you. Sitting all the way over here on the end, we've got our favorite James Regier, my favorite Ivy League educated podcaster. James, welcome tonight.
Hey, everybody.
And with that, I don't have any notes, because what we're going to talk about tonight was the fact that last week's RPM meet here in St. Louis was a total success. It was amazing. We had over 650 plus folks in attendance, and there was well over 82 tables of models all spread out in the 38,000 square foot of space in the venue. And it was nice because there was a lot of space to navigate, move around, sit in chairs, relax, and talk to the various modelers that had created all the eye candy that we were able to watch. Last week's show, we completely covered the RPM meet, and then the September What's Neat video, which I should have edited in the next 72 hours, we will cover 10 interviews with a lot of the various modelers and manufacturers that appeared here in St. Louis for that show. But now this week, it's all about the NMRA. This is great in that fact that finally COVID is over. We had the NMRA show scheduled for St. Louis in 2020, and it got canceled because of, obviously, everything that was going on. But now here we are again in St. Louis, and we've got a head start because the crew that runs that show already had everything put together so that a year and a half to 2 years later, it was ready to rock and roll and get put together. So this is going to be a great week, all week long, from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to the open house where a lot of you folks are coming out on the tour called the Texas Special, where there will be busloads of folks driven out here. I have got the Garden Railroad and the Inside Railroad by then running perfectly, hopefully, and everything should go smooth. A lot of the podcast members will be here to meet and greet with you as they help me make sure everything runs smoothly for the open house on Thursday. And then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday is the NMRA members only that go to Collinsville and attend the train show, and then Saturday and Sunday is open to the general public, and that's where I hope we introduce a lot of new youth into this, the very best hobby in the world. And I look forward to meeting all of you as I scurry around the floor with my podcast crew and we get interviews with various manufacturers over those 3 days. It's going to be a lot of fun, let me tell you what.
Oh, yeah.
So Gordy, let me ask you, you're here in St. Louis, and I understand that you had one of the best meetings for, you said it was a very
efficient meeting. So right now, just before the convention starts, it's been a board meeting. We've had like 20 Zoom meetings since we last met in person, so it's been a great opportunity for everybody to get back to working and developing things together. So we've been doing that, and this morning we got through our summer board meeting. We did some work. We're doing some workshops tomorrow. There's a visioning session on what does the NMRA look like, how do we get the NMRA to, we're working on something called Vision 10X. So how do we get 10 times the number of members of the NMRA we have now? What does that look like? What challenges does that present to the organisation? This afternoon we did a digital projects workshop. We were looking at some really cool tech that's coming from the NMRA, connecting model railroaders around the world without the boundaries, using all the learning from COVID and giving people a really great opportunity to enjoy the hobby even more. So.
That sounds absolutely amazing. I want to thank Speed Mueller from Murphy, Texas, who models the railways in Namibia. Did I get it right? Thank you for running camera for us tonight, Speed. You're amazing. I know this is going to turn out to be a really good show. What else would you like to add? Tell us what you know is coming up for the folks. I know we got a lot of great clinics coming up, and this is going to be an educational event for model railroading.
Oh, this is like a PhD for model railroading. Coming to an NMRA convention is effectively doing a master's university course in model railroading in a week. It's 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. You've got to be hardcore. You're in every single day. There's clinics. There's 5 or 6 clinics running all the time. There's other things going on. There's the special interest room where you've got people interested in steel railroads. You've got people interested in layout design, Operation SIGs. There's op sessions on some of the best layouts in St. Louis. There's the layout design special interest group tour on Wednesday. People are going to be going out looking at layouts in various stages of construction. We also a big shout out to the Fremo N guys, the Gateway Fremo N group in St. Louis. 10 weeks ago, I called them and said, listen, I found you a space in the hotel. I mean, the hotel's huge. I was like, I found you a space. I got an idea. Gordy has a lot of them. Let's put a Fremo N layout in there for people to come to the convention and run some trains. Why not have trains to play with at the convention? Why is it just, education? And then I phoned the OPSIG guys and I said, can we teach people how to operate properly with timetable and train order? And they were like, sure, let's revive the Ops Roadshow. So we used to have this layout that used to go around and teach people how to do operations on a nice handheld basis, so it's not so scary to go into your first Ops session, and it's all very, very comforting, very, very cuddly experience. So we're looking after people properly, and we've resurrected it on a Fremo N layout. So it'll be the one and only time you get to do it on this layout, because next time we do this, it'll be a completely different group of modelers, it'll be a completely different group of modules, and it'll be a completely different layout. And that's, I think, just looking at the NMRA innovating and looking how we can do what we've done in the past and take it to the next level.
That's
this
awesome.
It's such, speaking as a master model railroader, it is a fantastic opportunity to develop your breadth of knowledge of the hobby. You know, there's every day is a school day, and coming to an NMRA national convention is like cramming a whole university course into a week. And there's other things that go on as well. There's lots of opportunities, just the social side of it. You know, just coming down to here, and you be able to come here on Thursday and see the guys and meet the crew, and also, you know, come to the banquet. We've got Michael Grove speaking at the banquet.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We love Michael.
And so, you know, it's a great opportunity, and the friendships and the people that you meet coming to an event like this is friendships for life, you know.
Yes.
And that's what this hobby is so about. It's an amazing hobby in that it's so social. For a hobby where a lot of people are introverted in our hobby, not a lot of people are Kens, and you know, and to have this social aspect to it is a fantastic thing to see. These people meeting each other, and they find they've got a mutual interest, and then they find that 3 hours have disappeared, and they need to go to another clinic, and you'll see all of that going on. But I think the NMRA and the RPM guys this year have decided that St. Louis needs to be the hotbed of model railroading in North America, because in a 3-week period, the biggest names in our hobby are right here in St. Louis, and this is just capping off a fantastic 4 weeks of model railroading in this area, and it's going to be really exciting.
Now, one thing I will say, and our friends at K10's Model Trains in Maryville, Illinois, they'll be on one of the layout tours. I think it's the Southwest Star, is it? But they have a fully operational layout and fully operational hobby store. Ken wants us to know that he will be open every day during convention week and during the convention weekend. They have a lot of consignment inventory, a lot of other opportunities, but do go and check them out. They are sort of a regional treasure for the St. Louis area.
What you said about St. Louis as being a hotbed in the United States always proven itself to be true through the late 70s, through the 80s, and the 90s, in that we had Gary Hoover with his amazing layout and all the photography that he had in Kalmbach Publishing's magazine, Model Railroader magazine. Also, we had the Utah Belt, Eric Bruman, that wonderful art teacher for school that had built such an amazing layout that was believable and realistic, and transitioned through the eras as the railroads got their newer and newer motive power. He always kept up with it and made his layout change over the years. Yeah. We have Dave Davis, we've got Mike Buddy, we've had so many prolific authors in the model press that are from right here in St. Louis. And that was where I discovered it, and I started also as well doing articles with over 450 articles in the model press with 175 covers, of which a lot of them are hanging up down here in the studio, which I use as a menu quickly to figure out how to do photos that I want to do with various products, because I know what works and what doesn't by looking at the wall, and then I set up a photo shoot in accordance to that. But it has always been that way. I have no explanation for why. The next hotbed obviously goes out into California and the East Coast, where there's a lot of prolific modelers that we've seen through the years in the model press. The V&O layout, for example. So many different railroads. The Cat Mountain and Santa Fe. So many different railroads. But for some reason here in the Midwest, St. Louis was always that hotbed. And I appreciate that, in that it taught me so much when I met these folks. And they were kind to me. Like Gordy said, when you meet people in this hobby, they become your people for life, friends. And that is absolutely proven to be true now with my experiences, as I'm almost pushing 60 years old, and it's been a great hobby for me as well.
Well, it has been a great experience here in St. Louis, and I know in the years running up to 2020, of course, discontinued for the same reason that the convention got shoved off until this year. But we would have these wonderful operating sessions in people's basements around town, and you'd get to see all these great layouts. So we got a preview of everything before you all did, but it was absolutely beautiful. And there are some tremendous layouts out there. Wonderful for operations. Wonderful for the eye candy of looking at them, the realistic and recognizable scenery.
Right.
Yeah, so it's. I think folks coming to the convention are going to be in for a treat for sure.
I know, right at the East Coast, I can think of the name George Celios.
Yeah.
And you go out to the West Coast, and it was the very famous modeler that created the Gore and DeFeedy Railroad.
John Allen.
John Allen. Amazing, amazing, and the way they work together. And this is before the internet. And they met most of their friends at NMRA conventions,
Oh, yes.
where they had operating crews and various folks that they met through the years through the convention. The NMRA conventions and the NMRA in itself was a way for all of us to get to know each other in the hobby before we even had the internet. With the internet, obviously, it's made it much easier for us to contact each other on a daily basis and learn from each other's works.
Absolutely, and it's like what I was just saying at the beginning there about today, with working with our national team to look at how we can broaden that, how we can give. It's really important to me that we give everyone a base level of opportunity when they come into our organisation. I live on an island. It's 3.5 square miles. There's 400 people and 2 NMRA members, and the other one is not my wife. And so there are people there in your neighbourhood. I guarantee within a few miles of your neighbourhoad there will be model railroaders. You just don't know that they're there. And it's a real great opportunity. I'm so looking forward to meeting our members and having the opportunity to have conversations and just to say hello, just to hear their views this week.
Right.
But we need to be able to do that all the time. We need to connect people together. The NMRA has always been an organisation to bring people together in fellowship of the hobby, and that's something that we're looking to announce, something quite exciting at the National Train Show for the NMRA that will do that. It will link and connect every NMRA member in the world. That's what I wanted to do. It's something that, you've seen us deliver NMRAX, you've seen us deliver the digital magazine in a very professional way. We have a high-performing team now. We're moving through projects, we're learning, we're looking at what we do, how do we deliver, how do we improve, how do we grow.
Right.
We're doing that. So we'll be announcing something next weekend at the National Train Show that's going to connect every NMRA member in the world. We will launch that before Christmas. It'll be available to everybody before Christmas. It won't cost anything. No fees increases. This is something that we've been working on. It's an NMRAX Kyle project. NMRAX has still done nothing but earn the NMRA money. It's never cost the NMRA a cent. It's just earned the NMRA revenue from people that have watched the videos on YouTube. There's now over 400 hours of content there.
Oh, wow.
And it started as something to keep us engaged, to keep the fellowship of the hobby and the NMRA when we started it, and it's grown into something else. It's keep adapting and improving at what we can do. We've got other things that are coming as well. So the NMRA will be looking to offer additional programs on the same basis of how can we digitize that program, how can we make it available to everybody. But it's important, and one of the key lessons we've learned from doing the digital magazine is we need to understand that not everybody's at the same technical level, not everybody's there. So we're already starting to build videos and how-tos and explanations, and we've built a big team of people to support and just help and just be at the end of the phone to help somebody navigate through getting onto the technology. So we've recognized that, but we're looking at what other organizations are doing, we're looking at what younger people are doing, and we're trying to work into this space. So it's really, really exciting. And one of the other things that goes on at the National Convention that people may not realize is our Standards and Conformance team will be running a huge, what we call the DCC working group. So this is the group of people that develop DCC. This is where your new decoders come from. This is where the new features, functionality
It's
comes
where the
from.
X2F coupler came from back in the 70s.
No, it was earlier than that.
Was
That
this
was
the
in
60s?
I was in the 50s.
Oh, well, thanks for that.
So I can give
But
you.
it was standardization.
Yeah, it was, yes.
In
Yes,
the
that's
90s,
true.
they,
And
did,
it was
they
never
worked
a
with DCC,
standard.
right?
I can give you a really good. I'm going to give you a really good story about that, just for 2 seconds. Okay.
Okay.
So the X2F coupler, the horn hook coupler,
The horn hook
took
coupler.
11 years to develop. All right. And in the magazine, which you can now read on our website, because thanks to our IT team and some other colleagues in the NMRA, we've scanned all of our back issues of the e-bulletin, going all the way back from the first typewritten
The
edition in
NMRA
1935.
bulletin.
All the way to the early 2000s are now available for our members on our website. And if you go and have a look, it's I can't remember which exact edition it is, but after 11 years, there's an announcement from the secretary. The board has approved the X2F coupler as an NMRA standard. You turn the page, and there's this person proposing a coupler that would become KDs.
Wow.
And that is
Yeah.
how it works. If anyone listening
Right.
to the podcast thinks that the standards have been written and the NMRA is irrelevant, then I would say has innovation stopped in the hobby? No, it has not. Absolutely, it has not. Last week, the Blue Nami was launched as it's being
Blue
done.
Nami.
The Blue Nami
From Soundtracks.
From Soundtracks,
Yes.
you've got ESU now with the SDL39 and the Rapido models putting more functions and features into their decoders and their units than we have ever seen before. And that so this group of volunteers, it's volunteers and manufacturers, it's a lot of people, it's over 50 people. They'll be meeting in downtown St. Louis on Thursday in a hybrid meeting, so half of these people are all around the world, in New Zealand, Australia, Switzerland, Germany. We'll all be coming together to work on what's the next innovation for you, model railroaders in DCC.
That is
How
true.
do we make that interoperable? How do we standardize? And that meeting's going to go on for like 7 hours. So I don't recommend anybody coming to that, because if you're not techie, it may be a bit dry, but I would encourage people that have got an interest to approach us to get involved, because more people results in better benefits and more features for modelers. But that's where your 21-pin decoders came from. We're looking at, potentially 40-pin decoders to get all the functions into there in the future.
wow.
You're looking at other technologies with LCC, CAN bus technology. It's really very, 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 very exciting now in the
Yes.
hobby, in the manufacturing world. So it's all happening this week though in St. Louis, and that's all going on whilst all this education and clinics.
that's right.
It's so much, it's difficult to cram in, and if you just go on the website, that's only about 50% of what will be going on in St. Louis this week.
Right. It's called the Blue Nami decoder. This is something that Chris Palomares and I talked about 4 years ago when Bachmann came out with that system of Bluetooth to run trains. And here Soundtracks has taken it and run with it, and they call it the Blue Nami, and it's a full-scale decoder. This is not a scaled-down economy decoder, and George Bogatuk will be here on the show next week to explain everything about this decoder that you can simply run with your Wi-Fi. Is that right? Bluetooth. It's
Yeah.
Bluetooth through your cell phone.
Yeah.
As long as it's an Apple cell phone.
Right, so this is why we need George next week to fully explain it, but this is going to absolutely revolutionize your ability to run trains on various layouts, depending upon no matter whose DCC system you're using.
You just need to apply power, and it's exciting. It's really, it's really exciting. I mean, I've been fortunate to operate on layouts that were made with B-17 leftover parts down in Atlanta at the O-Scale Club in Atlanta. The same thing in Manchester in the UK with Lancaster Bomber leftover bits and instrument panels and stuff, and the 24-volt motors and DC. I'm not that old. I'm the youngest NMRA president there's ever been. I'm only 35, but I can remember operating all this technology. And now I sit there and I look at the DCC and I see the people that are using it, and this whole absolute myth that the older generations are not into this technology, because you can see it. Everybody understands how to use this technology because of the NMRA doing the interoperability and our standards and conformance team maintaining that, and it's so exciting.
Right.
Honestly, it's so exciting.
For the record, I'm younger than him. I am.
You're only 21. Plus
That's
first
right. No,
time,
I'm 25 for real.
No,
What
it's
does that
20,
make me? 6?
Jeff Shultz, tell me, you work for Joe Fugate over at Model Road Hobbyist magazine as the technical director for the magazine, so you have a part in a lot of different parts, plus you edit my segment, the What's Neat video, whereas you take what it is I record on video in my interviews and you put them in the still pages of the magazine. So I've been talking to you for years, but it's awesome to finally meet you.
Hello there.
It is. Tell me about your passion for this hobby, Jeff.
Oh boy. Let's see. First layout was at age 4 or 5.
Okay.
Second one would have been age 8 or 9. Third one was about 13. And then I went into the Army. And oddly enough, the Army just has issues with having model railroad layouts in the barracks. Not enough room. Although by the time I left, I actually did have a modular setup in my barracks room. You get high enough ranking, they let you live by yourself in a room. It's nice.
Nice.
You'd think they could use the model trains for some kind of distribution
sandbox
system?
training. I
Yeah,
don't know.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, although when I was building plastic models, I had a drill sergeant say when he came into the room to inspect that it looked like the War College more and more every time he came in. Basically, 2003, I was completely out. I was out of college. I just gotten married. The modules were sitting in boxes in the back room of the apartment. I'd actually gotten pulled back into the Army for the whole Iraq thing. Got back, I was on the verge of getting out, and my father-in-law emails me with a photo of a boxcar for a company called Astoria Plywood, which died in 1992 in Astoria, Oregon, but in the late 70s, early 80s, they had a couple of per diem boxcars. Whistle Stop Hobbies out of Portland got Atlas to make some of them for them.
Okay.
And I looked at this and was like, okay, buy me 3. One of which went to an uncle, and I've got the other 2 on my layout. But as soon almost as I got back from the Army that time, out came the boxes, and the modules got completely rebuilt into the first section of my current layout.
Nice.
So, and then I found Joe Fugate living about 15 miles away.
Oh, I wish I lived that close to him.
Back when he was
Well, you
doing-
live closer now.
This is true. But this was back when he was doing regular operating sessions on a Siskiyou Line 1.
Right. What an
So-
amazing layout that was.
I just showed up and he said, come on over, and I started running on the layout. And a couple of years later, he invited me and some other people over for dinner and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a magazine.
Right. I want to show some pictures of the Siskiyou layout. He has since torn it down as he's made a move now, but the Siskiyou layout was an amazing Southern Pacific-based layout with tall pine trees, beautiful scenery. I got photographs of Patty, his wonderful wife, running the layout in my computer, and I just showed them all to you just now because it's worth showing. And it's amazing when you can show a layout that's gone, because when you got photographs of it, it's never really gone,
Very true.
right?
And the Siskiyou Line 2 is underway.
Nice.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep, he's been keeping us abreast of his construction plans and clearing land there in Oklahoma now. So they'll be setting up Siskiyou 2 line as soon as they get the shed up.
Nice.
Which
Now,
I
James,
think
you
he's
work
got
for
you.
Model Railroad Hobbyist magazine as well, editing articles. Joe
That's right.
and Patty send you material, and you sit there and you edit that at home as you're taking care of your wonderful 2 daughters. But you guys are both, well, actually all 3 of us, we work for the same team,
It's true.
which is kind of cool.
Joe and Patty.
Yeah.
I know, right?
I know who's behind all those checks I get.
Yeah, that's right.
James, it looks like you brought some amazing models, and the Schwaberwand, did I say it right?
Schwebebahn.
Schwaberwand
Yeah.
is now painted. You had it on
Yeah.
display at the RPM meet. Tell us what you brought tonight.
Well, so this is the painted version of the model, and I went off the prototype as much as I could. This was actually done in an evening.
Okay.
I'd gotten some water. The local hobby shop, Schaefer's Hobbies, had some water-based hobby paint that I used in my airbrush and applied it, and it had a fast enough dry time that I could mask it, paint the next layer, then mask, paint the next layer, and then demask the whole thing all in one evening.
Nice.
Which was good because I tried to get started early and wound up breaking the original when I dropped it. The resin hit the floor, linkage broke, it was no good, had to start over. When those key places break, if there's a break in certain places, you can sort of glue it back together and fake it, but if it's at a linkage, you're out of luck.
Okay.
But yeah, so that saved my bread there, and so I went ahead and painted it and brought it for the RPM meet last week. I thought it should look somewhat finished. Obviously, there are certain discrepancies in the paint that I need to get to. I've not detailed it yet. It's still a work in progress, but yeah, I thought I'd bring it here and show that. And then Lonnie asked me why my airplane wasn't there the first day of the meet, and so I brought it for the second day. And this, of course, is the Santa Fe Skyway DC-3
Right.
that I set up, added motors to the nacelles to make the propeller spin, set up with an Arduino so that it'll
I've got
have...
B-roll of this starting
Yes.
up with the propellers. And I've also got some nighttime footage of this showing all the beautiful lighting effects. In fact, I
And
saw
of
that
course,
on the computer.
of course,
Lost power.
I lose power right now. Let's do a edit here.
We don't have to edit anything, because while you set this up, I want to thank very much Denny Yelsma at Yelsma Graphics. Denny we have got a whole lot more, 3 more cases of hats up in the family room upstairs that we will be distributing at the NMRA show to various folks that help us promote the hobby. And as you see, I see Jeff Shultz has got one on, and look at you, you've got one on. Thank you, Gordy.
Yeah.
I love the hats, Denny. Thank you so much for giving us what it is that we do to help promote and market this show to folks that might not otherwise even know that we do this on YouTube every single week. And we were almost up to 15,000 subscribers. I think last week we got 71 new ones. So the show continues to grow. All of the advertisers that present their products and allow us to help us promote this hobby, they do very well. They sell a lot of product. NCE, again, Denny has done well. And this is jacket season, so we're coming back into the cold months, whereas it's good time right now.
Well, that's
to
a
order
nice
your
thought right
jacket.
now, isn't it?
Right?
Cold months.
Right? All the various railroads that he's got on his website at yelsma.com. Check it out. It's a very thoroughly, amazingly laid out website, whereas through the entire alphabet of every single railroad in the United States and in Europe and various countries, he has got graphics for that. And this is not printed material, this is stitched. So the threads are gorgeous, they shine in the light, and for the clubs out there that want to share their spirit with the rest of the modelers when they set up their layouts or they have their open houses, be sure to have your shirts and jackets made with Denny Yelsma. He's a specialized individual in our industry. Way back through the early 80s, he's been doing this full time. And we look forward to having Denny, you on the show next week as well, because you're going to be here at the NMRA National, set up with your full booth and all your wares. So thank you very much, Denny, again.
Yeah, Ken, my shirt here is from Yelsma Graphics.
Yay!
And it's my own personal layout, the Willamette Western. And I decided, what the heck? I'd made up graphics for it, for logos on the locomotives and all of that.
Nice.
Bill Brillinger out of PDC had refined them so they actually look nice with the beaver in the middle. I sent it off to Denny, and a few weeks later, I had shirts and hats in my mailbox, basically.
He does fast work.
Yeah, he
Remember that
does.
when we got that What's Neat This Week boxcar with that sort of war bonnet inspired design on it?
Right.
It was like not 5 days later, and we got a jacket from Denny painted up with that same design on it.
Right. That's awesome. Now, the fact is you printed out this train that hangs above the street and runs
Yeah.
with a 3D printer that you got from Greg Summerland at
Yeah.
Geno Robotics. That was a resin printer that you had purchased. What was the name of that printer?
The Photon Mono X.
Photon Mono X that you can find on the website at GLRoboticsUSA.com. They offer customer service second to none. You can talk to him on the phone about setup, and there have been times where he has Skyped with people to help them set up their printers to make sure everything works right. And then there's a peripheral of material out on the internet where you can have things printed for the hobby, or you can design it yourself like James does. It's unlimited, but the fact is you can't do it unless you start at GLRoboticsUSA.com. Pick up a printer, have it dropped off in your home, and this next year will be a revolution for you in the hobby in that you can make anything that you want. If you don't want to buy it, if it's not available on the market, you can design it and make it for your model railroad. This has changed our hobby.
And I will say that I've definitely found more uses for it as time's gone on. Like I'll mention that in my clinic that I'm giving for locomotive lighting. In fact, that if there's if you want to have a certain design for your headlights, like your locomotive is, say, an Atlas that has one solid bar that serves both the number boards and the headlights,
Right.
and you want to separate that out, there's no shape that you can't design in 3D and then print out so that you have an add-on to that locomotive so that you can do the lighting how you want it,
Right.
with the pockets that you want. And with this model here too, like I said, I dropped it while I was painting it the first time. You know, if this were a model that I just, you know, went to the store and bought, you know, and be all bent, I'd be in trouble. Like I couldn't turn around for the show that weekend and have another model.
If that had been brass.
If that had been
Oh, my
brass,
goodness.
well, I'd take it to Ken.
Of course, I
and-
could fix it.
You can fix
Ken
brass
would,
is easier to
and,
fix than plastic.
and Ken would thank me because he would have another What's Neat video
Yes, I would.
ready to go because he could just take it apart and redo the brass. But if this were a plastic model and if it had broken, I'd be in trouble. As this was, it just breaks I just press print and I've got a new one in 8 hours or so. Just go to bed, don't lose any sleep over it.
It's revolutionised the hobby. I mean, I can remember when my father, we used to do the brass kits and everything. That's what I grew up with. I grew up with model railroads everywhere and packing kits, child labour, but it's in the family, it's okay. And I can remember how we used to do the axle boxes and things like that for British stuff on locomotive tenders and things. And it used to take months for somebody to make a master for that we can then make into a mold and spin it up and casting white metal or do lost wax casting and lost wax brass or even the photo etching and things, and people rolling their own boilers. I remember my dad sitting there with the rollers, rolling the boilers to put them into the kits before the big train shows in the UK and stuff. Now you can just go, then we moved on to using the same resin that they're using like stealth technology, but still again, it was still mass produced. It wasn't something somebody could do at home. Right. But now that the level of detail, you're not going to be sweating boiler bands on anymore. I think that's something that people are not going to be doing. It's simple things, and the younger people here are thinking, why is Gordy talking about a steam kettle? But those big steam trains, those steam trains and stuff that you're sweating on the boiler bands and you're using solder paste and everything. It was a mare to do that. But now with 3D printing, you can just do it. And there are still things that 3D printing technology can't do or shouldn't be used for. Particularly high wear parts, it's just not going to work for you. But in terms of customization, I think it's a complete change in where the hobby's going, and it is something we're looking at as well. But it's definitely something that I've seen the change of just in and masters and then being able to produce that in the correct material.
Right.
And the neat thing about having your own printer at home, I know that some people will do these designs and then they'll order it from Shapeways and then wait for Shapeways to deliver a couple weeks, and then they'll decide that this design wasn't quite exactly what they were wanting, or they break it and they have to order from Shapeways again, wait another couple weeks. If you got it at home, you get instant feedback on your design. Is it what you want? I've just printed it, I have it in my hands, I'm feeling it out, I can tell if it'll fit exactly like I want it to or not. And if something breaks, no big deal. I'm only a couple hours away from another one.
And James, if you're worried, if you're worried that this technology is beyond your ability to grasp it, there are maker spaces out there all over the country, in this country and in Europe, all over the world now. There's makers movements, and you can go along. They'll have open days. You don't necessarily need to join. They'll help you work through those problems if you want to do that face to face, and help you improve your knowledge. And these are skills. Being able to draw something up in 3D, you can just take something from Thingiverse, right? But you can adapt it, you can draw it up in 3D. That's a huge skill, We have this big debate at the moment about, is it scratch built if it comes out of a 3D printer? A 3D printer is just a 3D printer and a laser cutter. They're just tools. You still need to learn how to manipulate and use the tool, and it's some real good, high quality skills that our young people coming into the hobby can transfer into their life, into real life world.
Of any age too. If you look at different 3D graphics programs that are out there, such as Blender, many of them have very nice forums, very nice tutorials on YouTube that you can go and look at how you want to do things. I didn't know much about 3D printing here a couple years ago, but with a program like Blender, I have almost never found a moment where I think I'm wanting to do something and I don't know how to do it, where I can't just go to Google and say how to do X in Blender, and it's right there. And it may take a couple times looking it up for me to get it through my head what it is, but it's all very learnable, it's all very doable, and your imagination is really your limitation.
I'm still old school, though. You give me a pile of wood, you give me a pile of brass, you give me some plexiglass.
Oh, yes.
And there's nothing we can't build with styrene, a wonder cutter, X-Acto knives, right?
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of stuff that you can do physically, and the whole debate of is it scratch built, is it not scratch built?
Right.
I think that there's a lot of it, if you're working on the 3D program, that you simply work through your blunders, work through the process in a different way, where you're screaming at the computer screen rather than cursing that that you
Trashed
just like
$100
blew
worth of
$100
brass.
worth of materials on a project that's not going to work. So you know,
That's
it's
why you gotta
all
think it through.
but
The fact is, it's
right.
another tool to add to our arsenal.
Absolutely.
Exactly,
Right?
exactly.
Absolutely.
You could. Right, we got a tank car right here. Okay, me and Ken, and there's probably other people as well, but definitely me and you, we could build that out completely out of wood.
Yes.
We could challenge ourselves to build that completely out of plastic, completely
Yes.
out of brass,
Yeah.
completely out of a 3D print. I would say the best model would be a combination of all four.
Right.
Yes.
And learning the skills to do that is what makes this hobby
Yeah.
really exciting, because you've mastered one thing, but now you need to master something else. And the more you develop and engage in your own education in this hobby, the more enjoyment you get out of it. And that's what's so important to, you know, you've got so many avenues. And in terms of Blender, just a shameless
Yeah.
plug is coming right now. Speed's here, and Speed's from Namibia. Speed models the Trans-Namib, which is a railroad in Namibia.
Yes.
And we did a clinic on NMRAX with a lady from Namibia who modeled in 3D, did the trains of Namibia
Yeah.
in Blender in 3D. And go to the NMRA YouTube channel, go check that out. It's a fantastic you know,
Yeah.
full modeling of everything in 3D. It shows you the power
Yeah.
of the tool.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're coming up on 38 minutes on this show. We look forward to seeing you at the NMRA show. Please stop and say hi to us in between filming our segments that we've got to get done to create the October What's Neat video, which is what I'm going to be doing. We're also going to look forward to talking to various manufacturers about what it is we can do to provide you the marketing to share your products in this, the best hobby in the world. That part I so look forward to. Jeff, thank you for being here. Gordy, you're awesome. Speed, thank you for running camera for us tonight. And James Regier goes out saying, you're awesome. So with that, guys, this is the best hobby in the world with some of the best people in it. And I think tonight we're going to put the NCE Hammerhead in Gordy's hands. And I know James is using his cell phone. And you get to use the smaller throttle, Jeff, which works great with the radio system in the basement. We were running trains earlier tonight, and we honestly are going to do that again as soon as we wrap up this show. So with that, gentlemen, let's go run some trains.
Yeah, use this and goes it all the time.
Okay, we need a thumbnail shot. I don't expect you to hold up your airplane. Let's just keep camera one rolling after we do this, please, Speed. Look at the camera and show some teeth, and let's get a good thumbnail for YouTube, okay? Yeah, I'll hold up the throttle because I don't like it. Ready, set, show some teeth. Okay, we got that. Go ahead and keep camera one rolling. You can kill camera two, Speed. Thank you so much, and I will kill sound. Good job, guys.
That's cool.
You make it look easy. I'm so glad we got on the phone with you and got this set up.
Oh, you're welcome.
This was a last minute put together show tonight. Right, James?
Yep, it was.
Jeff, it's awesome working with you all the time. I love it.
Yeah, I think my coworkers are getting used to hearing